dive into our networking. So, we're going to talk today about the holidays. It is the week before Thanksgiving and how to really set up ourselves for success while maintaining our peace and not feeling like we're running around like a chicken with our head cut off. And I think the first thing is to understand that everybody feels overwhelmed. I work with hundreds of women, and most people this time of year start to get that little oh my gosh, I feel like I'm being pulled in 10 different directions. And so we really have, as business owners, two focuses, right? We have our goals, our business goals, but we also have all of those obligations, right? And so as we're rounding out the year, I want you to think back to January. What were the goals that you set for yourself in January for this time? Where did you want to be when you back in January? Where were you thinking, strategizing, planning that you wanted to be now? Now, I will say, if you don't remember, then we need to chat because we need to get some support in place for you to have some support for goals, but also some accountability. And so reach out to me because we'll put that in place for you. And if you're not, you're like, I do remember my goal and I am nowhere near on target. That's okay. What we want to focus on today is to find one win, one place that you can win at the end of the year, that when that ball drops and it is the new year, that you feel good. And it's more important about how you're going to feel when that happens than what you think you should accomplish by the end of the year. So I want you to start thinking, because we'll use this into our networking, but what would be the one win that would just make you feel like, this was a great year. I feel really good going into the new year. Okay. And then we're going to take this one win and kind of mesh this in with our obligations, because what we want, and so I will just tell you, I hate this word balance. I teach that there's no such thing as balance for women. It's all about harmony. It's about taking these different places and making it harmonious and all of that. But we're just going to use the word balance for the ease of the word for right now. Sometimes in the next few weeks, I make my life very unbalanced on purpose so that I can go in the other direction and be very unbalanced during the holidays. And what I mean by that is I like my December to be done December 20th. In my mind, December 20th is December 30th. And I want all of my obligations, my business goals, everything done so that I have those 10 days for Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever it is that you celebrate, New Year's, if you have kids who are off over break, that I'm not also trying to juggle finishing up the end of my year. Okay. So I'll work those really extra long days, those first 2 weeks in December, or I might work that weekend, those 2 weekends in December, so that I have that time at the end of the year where I can swing totally into the opposite direction and be family focused. All right. And that way I can go into the holidays and feel really relaxed. So one of the questions would be is, where can you simplify? Maybe you have a lot of shopping. Guess what? We can all do online shopping now. Like, make your list and be like, and make it fun and be like, I have a goal this year to not have to step foot in a store. Okay. How much can I do online? Cleaning, maybe you kind of have to say, all right, this is not the time to reorganize my house. What's the minimum that needs to get done so I can host a holiday party here? Right. Or maybe this is the time of year where maybe you don't normally have somebody clean your house, but for this next month, you do have somebody who comes and helps you out with some cleaning. Even things like wrapping gifts. Maybe there's a teenager in the neighborhood and you could pay them, a little extra money to come to your house and wrap all your gifts for you. And they would be thrilled to make that extra cash, and you'd be thrilled to not have to sit there for 2 hours and wrap gifts. Right? Cookies. How many people you need cookies for a cookie swap or for the neighborhood swap or for the school? Like maybe this year, Costco is your cookie maker, right? They're going to eat it anyway. I mean, really, no one's going to care that cookie was baked with love, right? And here's the thing: it's not. We cannot do it all. And I think as women, we constantly are trying to do it all, and we can't do it all. And so the way we battle that is we decide on our priorities. And this is not a right or a wrong. It's just, where are our priorities? And that changes year to year. That's going to be different when you have little kids versus older kids. That's going to be different when you have a goal that you're really working to crush and launch, and a year that you don't have that big goal. Maybe you have a huge financial priority right now that you have to take care of. So this isn't about judgment. This is about us choosing what do we want as our priorities right now, right? And then really getting our family on board and saying, this is, particularly with the kids, right? This is what our focus is. This is what mom is going to be doing and why I'm going to be doing that. And this is what benefits you, right? So that you can go for your win, and then letting your family know, this is how we're going to celebrate when I get that win. This is what's in it for you. right? This is why I need you to do this, right? This is why I need you to clean up because this is how it's going to benefit you. And this way we can say yes to what serves us and no to what doesn't. One of the words that I think of all the time when I think of the holidays is overwhelmed. Does anybody think of that word?
Mhm.
Like overwhelmed. So this is really what's interesting. I'm a wordy. If you hang out with me, you know I'm always going to be talking about what does a word mean because words have energy and they create. We are told that we create through our words, right? And so the word overwhelmed, the adjective to be overwhelmed, it comes from the 1500s and it meant to be completely submerged or swamped. And the way it got that word is that the verb to overwhelm something actually meant to turn it upside down, to overthrow it, to knock it over. And they think it came from like a ship that was overwhelmed, got flipped upside down, got submerged, and everybody drowned, right? And that's
Right.
sometimes how it can feel, right? It's kind of cool to think that's what the word comes from, but that's kind of how it feels. It can feel like I'm drowning.
Mhm.
And so how do we stop ourselves from getting overwhelmed, from getting flipped over and turned upside down? And so I thought, well, I pictured a tree that has really strong roots, right? It might get in the hurricane and it might get knocked, but it's really not going to get flipped over. A tree that has very weak roots is more likely to get knocked over and flipped upside down, right? And so, where we get our roots and where we get rounded is when we're really clear on our priorities and what's important to us. And when we're really rooted in what we want, in what our goals are, and what is priorities for us. One of the things that I use is a 24-hour rule. I don't want to dive into that today and take away from our time, but I do have on the Hey Girl You Can blog. I have a blog about the 24-hour rule. It changed my life. And it's basically a rule of how it allows me to set some boundaries before I say yes or no to something. I highly encourage it for women because most of us say yes and then regret our yes. So the idea is that we can have it all, but we can't do it all. And so when we're really clear on what our all is for us and what that looks like, then we can choose our life. We can build really strong, deep roots in our priorities, and we don't get overwhelmed, knocked over. We are grounded. And that's what I want for all of us for this holiday season, that we're clear on our win, we're setting strong boundaries, we're going into that, and we're celebrating at the end of the year.